Hey you guys, Morten Ostad here with another video. So today I had to have a talk. It ended up being on video because, my life has gone through some various things with my health and my work situation and so on. So this talk was between me and, people, you know, looking how to get me to some sort of future of some sorts. And and one moment I'm sad, and one moment I'm, despondent and desperate, and so on, and then maybe a little hopeful. So I have saved up some gift cards that I can use over at Platekompaniet, a record shop not far from here, just like the other record shop in Oslo, which is also not far from here. And I sort of kept them saved up. I still have a couple left, by the way. These are gift cards that I earn by doing surveys online, sometimes in an office where I'm, either saying my opinion about stuff or I'm doing tastings and so on. And I spend these points on gift cards for buying records. And I've had a good stint. Now I don't have that much points left, but we'll see. And so I said I want to I want to end the day today with maybe a little feeling of having moved forward, or at least now trying to do something. And I want to sort of, put a little something in the diary of my life by doing something nice at the end of the day. So I, even though it was kind of late in the day when I was done with these things, I went up to my coffee place and had a very nice coffee and sat there and looked at the world and people walking past, and then I went to the record shop. So the record I got today, I already own, like so many other records, but it's a record that means a lot to me. It's a very good rock and roll record, and it's a record by the Rolling Stones. And so you guys know I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan, and it's my favorite band in the world, and has been since I was 6 probably. Yeah. And I had a classmate when I started in school, which we then did at the age of 7 here in Norway. I think it's 6 now. And he also loved Rolling Stones. And I remember his and my mother, we were out doing a little shopping, and we were allowed to go to a record shop, and then afterwards we were having dinner at one of our places. I don't remember which one, and we could pick up a record each, and we both picked up the brand new Rolling Stones album. And I remember I had a photograph of us both holding it, and I think that was when I started to understand that parents, I knew about a lot of other faults of my mother, but also started to realize that, hey, they were kind of lame. They don't get boys, because I remember they criticized us for both buying the same record. Why didn't you buy 2 different records, and then you can, borrow each other's records and stuff? And you know how boys are. That would never have worked. And many years later, when I got a turntable again, and I went through my Rolling Stones record collection down in which, in some parts, is still located in Denmark, I grabbed that one and I was going to play it. And I realized that I couldn't, because it had a huge, gouge, looked deliberate scratch on my album cover there, and some of my records, it seemed, did have that. And I won't speculate as to who did that, but it brought a tear to my eye. So going through my old Rolling Stones records, I did realize at some stage, or gradually, that if I was going to have, a nice time listening to some of these things, which I had owned since I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, I would have to buy new ones because they were not in the best of nick anymore. Although some of them are fine. I mean, I'm still playing my old Beggar's Banquet and Let It Bleed, and once in a while I take out my sticky fingers, with a real zipper and all. But it is a little bit, like someone is rifling through a bag of crisps in the background, and I thought, well, how am I going to do this? And it's taken forever. So, for example, my '60s Rolling Stones records, I dealt with that by getting this. And recently I bought another record which was not pleasant to listen to anymore, and that was, of course, Undercover. And one record that I had to replace, which was my last Rolling Stones vinyl album bought before CDs took over, and also not long before I moved from Norway. Well, my stereo then was left here in Oslo and then later disappeared when I lost my basement storage unit. And apparently in that stereo was the last record I played in Oslo before I moved to Denmark in 1995. And it contained one of the records from Voodoo Lounge. So I still have my original Voodoo Lounge. It's just that it only contains disc 1. No, actually disc 2. Yeah. So I got this a couple of years ago. It was 30th anniversary, so it must have been 2023. But today's replacement, like I said, it was basically destroyed, and I could not play it anymore. So one of the reasons why I waited as long as I have to get a vinyl copy of it is because of this thing. I bought this wonderful, largely a wonderful deluxe box set, but of course at the time I wasn't sure if I should get the one with the vinyl in it or the CDs. So I sort of looked into it, and was this before or after Goat's Head Soup, where I also bought the CDs. And the reason for that was that the book inside and some of the material inside here was not available for anyone who bought the vinyl version of this. And it does contain, doesn't it contain a picture disc? So I kind of reasoned that, that'll do, But of course it didn't. It annoyed me. And then when the black and blue box set came out, I decided to go with the vinyl. And the reason for that was that the vinyl also contained the Blu-ray and the book. So, even though it was more expensive, I went with the vinyl. So I then, just a few days ago, I was sort of looking at what to get today, and then you should get something from the bands that you really love. And I was thinking about getting Bridges of Babylon, because I've never owned it on vinyl. When I saw that, the vinyl version of Tattoo You was available in the store, and it also cost 200 kroners less than the Bridges album for some reason. And with the gift card covering a bit, and I also did something else to get a little extra cash today. And so this is the Rolling Stones 40th anniversary heavyweight 180 gram vinyl. Includes the brand new 2021 remaster Tattoo You and Lost and Found as well. So these are both those discs. So I think it's really weird that this actually costs less than, an album from the very late part of their career, you could say. Well, they waited so long to record Hackney Diamonds that it's almost starting to look like it was the middle of their career. Ha ha. No, but I'm really, really, stoked. So Tattoo You, is a very, very good Rolling Stones album, but one that I didn't listen to for a long while, even on CD. And probably, maybe it's a little bit wrong to say it, but I think that both Tattoo You and Paul McCartney's Tug of War seemingly have been maybe a little bit forgotten and a little. It's not getting the attention that they deserve. Were these records played out? People listen to them too much, or are these records maybe taken a little bit for granted? I don't know. Sometimes I think that Tug of War is ignored because a lot of people had so many bad things to say about Pipes of Peace, and maybe this suffers a little bit from the story behind this album, because after Emotional Rescue, it was hard getting the band together to record, or rather to write. A lot of things were going on with the band and with the individuals, but also probably the resurgence and Keith Richards sort of coming out of the haze of the 1970s and looking at Rolling Stones of what it was now, and Mick Jagger's penchants for directing things. You could, for example, take a little thing about the artist who made this cover art. Like you said, why weren't the other members of the Rolling Stones, covered up with tattoos like this? And he said, well, Charlie was there, but at no stage did Mick or Keith, make any form of signaled or made any statement about any of the other members. So I just assumed that was something they had decided beforehand. So the record is, in some ways, a glorious leftover from the 70s. So it contains tracks that were partly recorded earlier for sessions back in the 70s. And then, because they were in a bit of a hurry, and the production team behind the Rolling Stones said, you got to have a new record out. You can't do a Made in the Shade this time. You have to have a brand new album out for this next tour, which is going to be massive in 81 and 82. And so I guess it's kind of a Frankenstein where they got together and they worked on things and left things and made this record, which what it turned out years later, Billy Preston is on here, Mick Taylor not least here, which is something I think they had to pay some residuals for that years later, but they sort of claimed that wasn't the case. You have the keyboard player from Black and Blue here, if I remember. Ian Stewart is on this. So yeah, it's a wonderful sort of accident, and it contains some of my absolute favorite songs by the Rolling Stones. And when you did get the next album, maybe, I love Emotional Rescue, and I do love Undercover as well, but you're thinking, what if the Rolling Stones of 1981 had to record a new album when you hear what came out in 83? Yeah, questions. It's going to be a long video, this. So there is the old hype sticker. So now I feel that I sort of made amends for the box set that I bought that didn't have vinyl, because of this is, of course, the same remaster and everything. So, of course, the songs are Start Me Up, Hang Fire, Slave, Little TNA, Black Limousine, Neighbors. Me and my friend, we love that song. Worried About You, wonderful Tops, and Heaven, which, it's a sound and a feeling the Rolling Stones have never really replicated, in my opinion. No Use in Crying, and Waiting for a Friend. And LP2, Lost and Found Rarities, Living in the Heart of Love, Fui Jim. No, Fiji. Sorry, Fiji Jim. Hey, it's red letters on green background, okay? Troubles are coming, shame, shame, shame. Drift away, it's a lie. Come to the ball, fast talking, slow walking, and start me up early version. So here we go, guys. Beautiful, wonderful. A lot of people thought this was a woman and were very confused and sort of up in arms. Why was there a picture of Keith but not Mick? But it is Mick. So, okay, so this is the gatefold. Now, I told this story before. My brother and my sister, much older than me, 16 and 17 years old, my late sister, by the way, they got together and arranged so that my brother would go to Gothenburg from here in Oslo and bring his then about to turn 11-year-old brother to Gothenburg, to Nya Ullevi, to see the Rolling Stones, the band he loved so much. And then my mother sabotaged it and said it was far too dangerous for a 10-year-old to go with his 16-year older brother. And concerts were dangerous, like she'd never attended anything musical apart from places where she could get drunk. And so, I didn't get to go. And she also called up my friend's mother and made sure that she also changed her mind and couldn't go. So my friend didn't get to go either. And he was going to go with his older sister. And they've done this like that. And like so. And bear with me. Another record for you to look at. With that classic yellow. But I have such many fond memories of looking at and putting on the turntable with my shaky little child hands then. And of course the Rolling Stones having been such a big part of my life. And I told you the stories before about my older sister and one of my older brothers giving me a Rolling Stones record in 1978. So my brother gave me Black and Blue, and my sister gave me Some Girls, and I both have those, and they're still fairly playable. But Black and Blue, of course, I've replaced with not replaced, but I now have the box set and also a liquid vinyl. And Some Girls I have on various CDs in addition to my original, but it's also one I hope to get a new one. I was hoping one day to get that big box set with all the post 1971 records, but I was too slow on that. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing this record, hearing me talk about memory lane and what's going on with me a little bit. I know it gets a little personal sometimes, but that's kind of what we have each other for in the vinyl community. And you've seen me make a Rolling Stones tag, and you've seen me show various things to do with Rolling Stones. And when we do the big yearly vinyl tag, there's always some Rolling Stones showing up in my tags, and I love them so much. And of course, this new thing going on with the cockroach thing and everything. I wasn't going to talk about it because I don't want to be an old guy yelling at clouds, but it does baffle me a bit. I mean, these are the kind of stunts you do when you're in dire need of attention and getting your product out. Rolling Stones don't need them. They have attention by default. And I did go into that cockroach thing and click on that record to see where these, I keep forgetting what the word for that is, but, places on earthing. And they will always show you the places that got that record, which is basically a 12-inch with just recording on one side. And I've done this over several days, and the only places that come up are 6 places, and they are all record shops in Denmark. I'm in Norway. There's not even anyone showing up for Sweden. and one of them is actually Lakris Pizza, which in Aalborg, which I made a video from back in March last year. Great shop. Just moved a few blocks, by the way. So yeah, I'm a little because it feels like they are. It feels like they are premiering, or they're not premiering, but they're somehow celebrating whoever is fast enough and quick enough out of a tiny minority of Rolling Stones fans, leaving the rest of us confused, baffled, and a little bit heartbroken in a way. So yeah, this was my consolation prize for that. Thank you for watching, guys. I should have said this in the start of the video. Please click like, helps my channel. If you want to subscribe, well, that makes me happy. I want to say hello to all my new subscribers I've gotten lately. I just passed 1900. And if you have any comments about this record, I just want to say hi, or about this Cockroaches thing, please leave a comment. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye-bye.